Attorneys owe their clients duties of loyalty and confidentiality. Multiple disciplinary rules arise from these two primary duties. But attorneys can't comply with the rules if they don't know who their clients are. In Re Robbins, a lawyer was surprised to learn he'd breached his obligations to someone he didn't realize he was representing. Attorney Seth Robbins represented Persaud Companies, a government contractor and construction company. Hudson Insurance Company acted as surety on Persaud's government contracts. When Hudson required an additional indemnitor on security bonds for Persaud's future projects, Robbins contacted his friend, Gary Day. Robbins had previously represented Day in other matters. Day understood that Robbins would represent Day's interests in negotiating the indemnification agreement, although Day knew that Robbins was representing Persaud. Ultimately, Day signed the agreement without reading or understanding it, based on Robbins's reassurances. During this time, Day believed that Robbins was his lawyer, although there was no written agreement between Day and Robbins, and Day paid Robbins no fees. Day and Robbins never had a written agreement when Robbins had represented Day. Robbins didn't think Day was his client in the transaction. After some time, Robbins discovered that Persaud was in financial trouble and under federal investigation. Persaud fell behind on its performance on one of the contracts on which Day was an indemnitor. But Robbins didn't tell Day. Day sent Robbins a demand letter he'd received from an attorney representing Hudson, but Robbins said Day shouldn't worry about it and that Robbins was working it out with Hudson. Robbins also didn't tell Day when he learned that Hudson was planning to file a lawsuit against Day and Persaud. After several communications between Hudson's attorney and Robbins, Hudson's attorney was under the impression that Robbins was representing both Day and Persaud. When Hudson did sue Day, Robbins told Day he should hire an attorney. Day thought Robbins meant that he needed an attorney who specialized in security bond litigation, not that Robbins wasn't already his attorney. The D.C. Bar's Disciplinary Council filed charges against Robbins, alleging that Robbins had violated professional conduct rules by failing to keep Day reasonably informed about developments in the matter, and by representing Day despite the likelihood that his representation of Persaud would adversely affect his representation of Day. After a hearing, the Board of Professional Responsibility ruled against Robbins. The board recommended that Robbins be suspended from practicing law for 60 days and required to complete 4 hours of ethics-related continuing legal education. Robbins appealed to the D.C. Court of Appeals, arguing that Day wasn't his client in the transaction.